Welcome back and welcome to Business and Immigration Law Updates. This is proudly presented here by Attorney Ramesh Khurana, who is the Chief Attorney and Counselor at Immigration Law at the Khurana Law Firm located in Gaithersburg, Maryland. The moderator on this set is Attorney Kenneth Haber from Boyd's, Maryland. This morning, Attorney Haber will question Attorney Khurana on, let me see if I can say this right, USCIS's enforcement of change of home address. It's a mouthful. Anyway, let's catch this question and answer session from our experts.
Welcome. My name's Kenneth Haber. I'm a former Assistant United States Attorney, former Senior Attorney of the Office of Inspector General, United States Department of Health and Human Services. I have my office in Boyd's, Maryland. With me is Ramesh Khurana, who has his offices in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Ramesh is an immigration attorney and one of the best I know. He's here to answer some of our questions, and this is the Capitol Forum. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you so much, Ken, and I appreciate your generous introduction.
Well, it's all true.
Thank you.
It's all true.
Thank you for reconfirming.
Ramesh and I used to be neighbors in an office complex. We were 2 doors away, and that's how we got to know each other.
That's right.
Could you, Ramesh, explain a little bit in terms of the USCIS's regulations for changes of address and how they enforce that?
Oh, sure, Ken. Now, this is one of the very important concepts when you talk about the immigration arena, because people file petitions and applications and they move. They move from one home to the other home. Sometimes the decision on a petition, it again depends what kind of petition it is, not only takes months, but it takes years. So people just conveniently forget that they need to update their address to USCIS. And USCIS really takes it very seriously. They say that you have got to tell us your updated address within 10 calendar days. That's the requirement. Within 10 calendar days, you have to tell us, like, what's your new address, so that we are in communication with you. And it happens, Ken, if you have not updated your address, and if a letter is issued by USCIS for whatever reasons, maybe this is an RFE asking some questions, and they have very strict deadlines, like they give you 30 days, 60 days, 84 days. And if you have not responded to the RFE, so what will happen? They will say that you have abandoned your petition. That's it. So it has very serious consequences, So you can change this address, online, and in some situations you have to file your AR11 form. It is very important, AR11 form. And as I said, it has to be filed within 10 calendar days once you have moved to a new address.
What's the general idea behind the change of address regulations?
As I said, especially if you applied for some immigration benefit, and USCIS wants to know where you are currently residing, and because they can be in touch with you and you can respond to the forthcoming questions of USCIS. So otherwise, you will lose track of some information which is to be shared by USCIS with you, because they are working on your petition.
Actually, I've had some agencies, normally state agencies, where they hadn't gotten back with a decision in 10, 15 years or whatever, and you contact the client and say, do you want me to notify them of a change of address for me? And the client would say no, because if they haven't remembered all this time, don't want to remind them. But that's different than the USCIS, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, USCIS really wants you to notify them, because there are serious consequences apart from the fact that your application may be abandoned.
What are some of the other penalties?
It is basically considered as a misdemeanor. You are a defense attorney, you are going to love it. So, if there is a willful failure to give a written notice to USCIS of a change of address, As I said, within 10 calendar days of moving to a new address, this is a misdemeanor crime. What does it mean? That you can be asked to pay a fine up to $200, or you can be imprisoned up to 30 days, or both. And you know, the most important serious implication of not advising or not updating your address is that you can be even deported or removed from the United States under INA section 266B. So that's why compliance with the requirements to notify USCIS of any address changes is also a condition of your stay in the United States. Let us say that if you are defaulted and you are not advised the change of address. So next time when you apply for any immigration benefit, and if this comes to your attention and the officer wants to enforce it, you may be out of luck. So it's a very serious matter. Now, the other important factor you would like to know, of course, and it's for the benefit of audience, who are the people, like who are required to update their addresses in case of change of addresses. Let us say a visitor. A visitor has come to the United States. Now, when he is welcomed by the CBP at the port of entry. Let us say a person has come to Dallas airport, and CBP officer is the first contact person who welcomes the visitor. He asks him at what address you are going to reside, right? So make sure if you have given some address and you are going to change your address, you have to update it. Likewise.
What do you do when you're traveling, if you're a visitor and you're traveling, you're visiting the country, you're going to different tourist locations, how do you?
Yeah, in fact, in certain situations, like if you are moving from one city to the other, very frequently it becomes very difficult. It becomes very difficult. But most of the times, I would say 95% of the visitors, they come and they are staying with their relatives, they are staying with their parents or siblings. So you have one address. But let us say you are coming to Washington DC, and now you have stayed in Washington DC for 3 months, and you decide to go to your brother who lives in California. So better you update your address in that kind of situation. Likewise, students. Now, students who are here, if they are changing their home addresses, they should update their home addresses. Even green card holders, they are not exempt from the requirement of updating their home addresses. Even US citizens can, you will be surprised to know, because sometimes US citizens, they file petitions on behalf of their relatives. Let us say US citizen wife gets married to a foreign national, and she has filed a green card petition for her husband. So if her address changes, so she has to go online and change her address. She doesn't have to file form AR11, but she has to go online and change the address, because tomorrow if USCIS is going to send out any kind of RFE or questions or approval notice or rejection notice, it should be coming to the right address. That's why it's very important. Another thing I would like to share with you. Let us say that a US citizen has filed an affidavit of support for somebody who has come on a green card. So the requirement is that the sponsor or the person who has signed the affidavit of support continues to be responsible for the affidavit of support, which is considered to be a contract between the federal government and the sponsor. So this is going to be enforced until such time a person has become a US citizen, depending upon the conditions when he or she becomes a US citizen, or that person has paid at least for 10 years or 40 quarters of Social Security contribution to the Social Security Administration. Otherwise, the sponsor continues to be responsible for any kind of financial obligation that comes, or that person becomes a charge on the state. So that person has to file a form which is called I-865 if that person signed an affidavit of support. And again, this is to be strictly enforced.
And that's the alien has worked and contributed 40 quarters.
40 quarters, yes. Because once the alien has contributed for 40 quarters of Social Security, then this person who signed the affidavit of support, that person's obligation is over.
So it's important for you to get someone who's willing to work for 40 quarters.
Right, right. You know, it's very convenient. You just go online, uscis.gov, or you can go on our website, which there is a window called change of address. Just click this change of address window and follow a few steps, and your job is done.
What is your website name?
My website is skulaw.com. Our second name is immigrationlawadvisor.com. Very easy to remember.
And people can go there and find this type of information?
Yes, for change of address, and they can even change the address because it gets linked to the USCIS.gov website. So you directly are on the website of USCIS, and you can very conveniently change your address. But never forget it, do it. I have seen, Ken, sometime, let us say a person is placed in removal proceeding because some decision, adverse decision was made by USCIS, and this decision of placement in the removal proceeding was mailed. And this person claims that on this particular date, I had moved to a different location. I was not living at this address. If you have not changed your address, then you are out of luck. USCIS would say when we file a motion to reopen the case that this is what happened because of change of address. The beneficiary was never informed of this adverse decision or adjudication process by USCIS, and their plea would be, now you have to be blamed for it because you did not update your address with us. So that's why it's very important that we update our address.
I certainly can understand that. You know, in the old days, when we had the selective service in an active form, the registrants had to keep the selective service
registration
board,
number.
Well, they keep the number, but they had to keep their board notified where they were at.
Like if their services are to be used, they can be contacted.
Yeah, or else somebody like me would have somebody like the FBI go out and tap them on the shoulder and remind them about their responsibilities.
Right.
And the way they're reminded was not necessarily always the way they wanted to be reminded.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Even now, when people go for N400 interview or naturalization interview, now there is a question on the N400 or naturalization application. Like if you were here in the United States between this age up to 27, did you register with the Selective Service Commission? So it becomes one of the major issues. So sometimes all these immigrants who come over here, they are not aware about this requirement, about the registration. But fortunately, people who are on non-immigrant visa, let us say a person has come on a visitor visa, or a person is here on H1B or L1 or E3. We talked last week about the E3 visa petition. Now these people are not required to register because most likely these people, But if a person is in unlawful status, that person is required. Or if, of course, if you are a green card holder or a US citizen, then you are required to register with the Selective Service Commission.
Well, it's still with the concept that someday the country might need you for the draft. I mean, like right now we have voluntary army, but if we were ever to get into a real heavy-duty war like World War II or even the Vietnam War, you know, all the people would have to be relied upon.
And moreover, that's the law. You know, you have to comply with it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But in any event, there's numerous reasons, I'm sure, as far as why it's advisable to keep the updated address on file with the immigration authorities.
I agree with you.
Well, the thing is that I suppose the most important thing is that they can lose the benefits that they're applying for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Is there some way that they can get those restored depending on what the benefits are? If they lost it because of the fact that the mail came back, recipient not here?
You know, like you are a defense attorney, you know how difficult it is to convince the court that it was something beyond the control of this person or he is a victim of the circumstances, they said, you know, he failed to update the address. So, it is his failure which has caused to bring the case up to this level that you are in the immigration court. So, unfortunately, it will be very challenging, but if there are other some supporting reasons to support it, then of course, under the totality of the circumstances, the immigration judge could make a positive decision. But in essence, why not to update your address when it takes a few minutes?
Right.
That is in essence very essential.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank you again for coming on in and illuminating us about the immigration processes that we have in place. And
Ken, always a great pleasure talking to an attorney like you.
well, thank
always
you.
Always a great pleasure.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the viewing audience for watching us.
Thank you.
Thank you.